I once heard a billionaire say, you absolutely get your expectations. And what that means is whatever you're expecting in life will become your concrete reality. And I've been studying high performers and high achievers and the most successful people on the face of the planet for over 21 years at this point in my life as I'm recording this episode. And what I can tell you with certainty, with complete and total confidence, is of all of those people that I've studied, they absolutely leverage this superpower, which is the superpower of your expectations. Way too many people expect things to not go well. Way too many people expect for people not to want to help them. Way too many people just don't expect anything at all. They're like, well, expect the worst and hope for the best. Really? You want that to be your strategy to achieve your big dreams and goals, is to expect the worst? I'm telling you right now, that is the worst advice you could ever get in your life. Yes, I love the hope for the best thing. That's great. But if you're expecting the worst, you know what you're going to get? Certainly not the best, because your expectations create your reality. It makes you see the world in a certain way. It makes you take certain actions, and it drives your behavior. It drives your energy. It drives your attitude. It drives the way you show up. Do you show up with certainty because you know something great's going to happen? Do you show up with joy and excitement because you just believe something good is going to happen? I don't know if you do or don't, but hopefully by the end of this episode, you will be convinced that your expectations create your reality. And by the way, don't worry. If you're the naysayer and you're the person that's saying, well, JJ, I've expected good things in my life, but they just haven't happened. Or I've been expecting success and achievement in my next level, or certain income, or a certain reach, or whatever it is for years, or a certain level of health or relationship for years, and it hasn't come to fruition. JJ, how can you tell me here on this podcast with such certainty that I absolutely get my expectations? Because all I've experienced for the last 5, 7, 10 years is I don't get my expectations. I think you're full of stuff. Well, by the end of this episode, I will alleviate your concerns, because I completely get what you're going with here and saying, well, you haven't got your expectations. There is a very, very good and vitally important reason to understand why you have not yet got your expectations in life. And hopefully by the end of this, I'm going to share with you 5 very specific expectations you need to make sure you have every single day in life to tap into your greatest potential, to thrive in the way you should thrive or deserve to thrive, and to turn your big dreams into concrete reality. So, number 1, the first major expectation you must have in life is a general expectation that great things happen for you. You have to expect that great things will happen for you. Let me share with you a quick little story that will demonstrate this in a powerful way that hopefully will change your mind about the power of expectation. So this was a few years ago. My wife and I had ordered a brand new bed, and we're waiting for the bed to show up. And at the time that we actually made the order for the bed, my wife asked me, should we get the white glove service where they actually come in and put the whole bed, like the frame and everything, together for you in our home? And I was like, nah, how much does it cost? She's like, $100 or something like that. I think it was $100. I was like, nah, for $100, I can do it. Granted, I am the worst person ever with tools. To give you a sense of my skill set with tools is the only tools we have is a small pink tool set that my wife got when she went off to college, or sometime in college when she started living on her own. That is literally the tool set that I still use to put up curtains and do whatever else I do around our home. And so that gives you a sense of like how well I do with tools. And yet I was like, hey, let's save the $100. Let me put the bed together. No big deal. And so we made that decision to save $100, which sounds reasonable, although I knew it was probably going to take me several hours, because me and putting things together usually doesn't work out too well. And so the day arrives and these folks are delivering, and basically the way we had it set up for the order was they would deliver the bed right outside of our garage. They don't bring it in. They don't set it up. We were told to expect. They will literally just leave it outside the garage. So I go and wait for the truck to arrive. We get notification that they're on their way. They're going to make the delivery so that we can go out and receive it and let them know. We can sign off. It's here, blah, blah, blah. And they come up, and these 2 gentlemen get out of the truck. They pull up. I'm like, hey, yeah, guys, go ahead and just set it right here. And they're like, where do we take this? I was like I said, right here outside the garage. Totally fine. Set it down. We'll take it on in. We'll get it put together. And the guy said, no, we'll take this inside for you and set it up. I was like, well, no, the thing is we didn't buy the white glove service. Before I go any further with the story, I need to make a note that I totally forgot that's vitally important for this whole story, which is that morning, because I study guys like Dr. Joe Dispenza, and he says you need to expect the unexpected. You've got to expect really amazing, unexpected things to happen, and just be open to the possibility that great things can happen for you in your life, in the given day, in a moment, in a week, whatever it is. Just expect really amazing things to happen for you. Point number 1 of this message, expect amazing things and great things to happen for you. And so that morning, for whatever reason, I had nothing to do with the delivery of the bed, but I was just like writing in my journal, which I write in pretty much every single day, at least once. I am maybe slightly obsessed and maniacal about writing in my journal, but I write in my journal, or wrote in my journal, I'm so grateful for the fact that something amazing and unexpected is going to happen for me today. I'm so grateful for the fact that something amazing and unexpected is going to happen for me today. And like, as I wrote it, I just felt this level of confidence and certainty. Like, I don't know how to explain it. It was just like, I just had this knowingness that something great was going to happen, and I had no idea what it was. I had no expectations for what it would be. There was not a single thought in my mind of like, well, maybe it's this or maybe it's that. I just put it out into the universe by writing in my journal, put it in my heart and soul, and just stamped it with my approval of like total belief by writing it down in my journal with total confidence, conviction, and belief. And so that was first thing in the morning. These guys come, I don't know, late morning, early afternoon, something like that. So now fast forward, they're delivering the bed. And they're like, well, where should we take it? I said, put it right here outside of the garage. Like, well, no, we'll take it inside and put it together. I was like, well, no, we didn't get the white glove service. You just leave it right here. And he said, dude, I don't know if he said dude or not. But he's like, hey man, it says right here. And he pulls out his little device thing. It says right here that you've paid for the white glove service. So we will take this inside and put it together for you. Like, he was almost like, dude, we're going to do this whether you like it or not, because this is what you paid for and we have to do it. And I was like, well, we didn't pay for it. He's like, I don't know what to tell you, man. It's here. It's paid for. Done. Over. We're taking it inside. I was like, well, cool. Because this is otherwise would take me several hours. These two guys come in and put the bed together. And I'm not kidding you, like 15 minutes tops. They just get out their drills. They put it together. Fast. I'm telling you, this would have taken me at least 2 hours, maybe 4 hours, and I might have messed it up, put the wrong things in the wrong spots, and had to take it apart and redo it. Like, that's not uncommon for me putting things together like this, but they did it in like 15 minutes. I didn't lift a finger, and it was done. And I talked to my wife after, and I was like, man, that's really amazing. That's pretty cool. And I was just so grateful to these guys. I was like, thank you so much for doing this. That is amazing, incredible. I really appreciate you. I don't know what happened, but thank you. That was awesome, guys. Appreciate you. And afterwards, like, my wife and I searched our records, our emails, our order form. We looked at for like what we paid, the card we used to pay for. We're like, do we have any extra charges on here that we didn't expect? Nothing other than the bed paid for. And yet somehow, some way, we got this white glove service. I want you to notice a couple of things. Number one, you might say, well, JJ, I think that's just luck, dude. Maybe. I don't know about you, though. Like, it maybe is correlation and not causation, but I tend to believe that if something seems to work in a certain way, even if it's correlation, why not test it to see if it works again and again and again? And I think what you will find from really high achievers, people succeeding at the highest levels, is that when they expect amazing, unexpected things to happen for them in their life, they tend to happen. So this is one of those cases where I just that morning just wrote in my journal with total confidence and conviction, something amazing is going to happen for me in my life. And I just knew it. And it happened. Now, friend, does it always happen immediately the moment that you decide that day something amazing and unexpected is going to happen? Maybe not. And maybe not to that level. But what I think we have to get clear with is, even if it's not something where it's like, well, I got this $100 thing for free, it might be something simple. Maybe it's a joyful moment with your spouse, with your wife, with your husband. Maybe it's a joyful moment with your child. Maybe it's an unexpected call from a friend, or a text, or a message that you get that just encourages you or inspires you or lifts you up. Like, maybe it's something so seemingly tiny, but is actually the most significant thing that could have ever happened for you in your life that day. And I think we have to understand that if we want amazing things to happen for us, we've got to expect amazing things to happen for us. It puts out a certain energy into the world. It puts out a certain, as I said, expectation that something great can happen. And I just believe it's that energy that starts to attract and draw and magnetize great things into our lives. I can't explain it, although I know there are people out there that I've studied who literally explain it with quantum physics and all this other stuff. But what I'm telling you is I've seen it over and over and over again in my life, and that is just one of the many powerful examples of a positive expectation of something amazing to happen for me that actually came to fruition in that same exact day, within hours of making the decision that I knew for certain something amazing was going to happen. So then the next question becomes like, do you do this every day? Sometimes I forget. Actually, very often I forget. But that's why I've got to draw myself back to stories and examples just like this, because it's the days that I show up with an expectation that something amazing is going to happen that I feel better. Because here's the second thing I want you to catch from point number one. When you expect amazing things to happen for you in any given day, and you're like, I just believe something amazing and unexpected is going to happen for me today, how do you show up? What kind of energy do you bring into the world? What kind of attitude do you show up with for your spouse, your friends, your team members, your clients, the people you serve, your children, the world, the community? What's the energy? What's the attitude? What's the belief that you show up with? Are you elevated and excited and expectant in a positive way? Or are you down? Are you frustrated? Are you angry? Typically not. Like if you just knew with total 100% certainty that something amazing was going to happen for you today, how would you live the rest of the day? You'd live as if something amazing was about to happen. People would be like, well, why are you so fired up and excited? Well, because something really cool is happening at 4 p.m. today. Like in just a couple hours from now, like something really cool is about to happen. And like it's coming. And they'll be like, well, what is it? Oh, I don't know, but it's going to be amazing. I don't know what to tell you. It's just going to be absolutely cool. But it's happening. I don't know what it is, but it's happening. You would totally shift the way you live your life. But so many people expect bad things to happen or they expect nothing. And they were neutral with their expectations. And so things don't go as well as they otherwise could have. Because by the way, that day of this example where we got the white glove service, that was $100 value, completely free. If that never happened, how do you think my day would have gone? I felt so lifted and excited and grateful that day just because of my expectation that something amazing was going to happen. And again, hang with me to the end of this podcast episode because I will share with you what do you do when things aren't coming to fruition the way you are expecting them to come to fruition. And that's a really important thing to understand before we get there. Point number 2 in the 5 points of things you should be expecting every single day. Expect conversations to go well. Individual conversations, and even if you're doing group or team presentations for work or for whatever it is you do, expect them to go well. How often do you prepare for a conversation and you're like, man, I don't know how this is going to go. Maybe it's with your boss or someone you lead or a team member or a client. And you just like, in your mind, you're like, I don't know how well it's going to go. I feel like, maybe they're going to be frustrated or angry, or maybe it's going to go south, or maybe things are going to blow up, or I don't know how I'm going to show up. Oh man, how's it going to go? Or how's this presentation going to go? How am I going to deliver? Are people going to receive it? Man, I don't know how it's going to go. I'm not really expecting it to go well. Gosh, I'm going to hope for the best, but expect the worst. No, friend. You absolutely must expect it to go well. Because as an example, if you've got a conversation with your boss and you're nervous about it, you're like, oh, what's my boss going to bring up? I don't know. Like, we're just supposed to be touching on a check-in, but like, I don't know how it's going to go. Oh, and you go in with that nervous, anxious energy of uncertainty of like, I don't know, it could go bad. I don't know how it's going to go. How do you think you're going to show up in that conversation? Not as well as if you showed up with an expectation that it was going to go incredibly well, that you're going to get a raise, that it's going to be great, that your boss is going to be so joyful and happy and excited, that the conversation is going to give you great rapport and trust and build connection with your boss. If you expect it to go well, do you think there's a higher likelihood that it's going to go well or a lower likelihood that it's going to go well? Probably a higher likelihood that it's going to go well, that something good's going to happen. Because guess what? You're going to show up with amazing energy in the conversation. Do you think your boss will appreciate you showing up with great energy and enthusiasm and a positive attitude? For sure. Because do you know how many people show up in meetings with other humans with a great energy, with a positive attitude, with enthusiasm? Not many. It will make you stand out. It will set you apart. So when you start to expect great things to happen, you start to expect the conversation with your boss or friend or colleague or client to go well, you're setting yourself up for success in the conversation at the very least. Even if it starts to get derailed, if you're still showing up with that kind of energy, do you think they're going to receive the hard news or the tough conversation better or worse? Look, even if the person that you're meeting with has bad news for you, or you have to deliver bad news to that person, or you're having a quote unquote tough conversation, if you show up as if it's going to be a great conversation, do you think it's a higher likelihood or lower likelihood that it actually goes decently well? It's going to be better. It's going to be more likely. So you've got to show up with the expectation that the conversations go well and that your presentations go great. Doesn't mean you're not going to mess up. Doesn't mean you can't stumble. But what it means is you've got to expect that when you're delivering a speech, so let's take it from the one-on-one conversation to a speech to a small team or a small group or a large organization, you got to believe that it's going to go well. It doesn't mean it's going to go perfect, but it means you expect to deliver with energy, with enthusiasm. You expect them to receive it. You expect them to be awakened by your message, to be brought to attention, their attention brought to something really important that could change their lives in a really positive way. But you've got to expect great things for the people you're delivering for, and you've got to expect that it's going to go the exact way that it needs to go for people to get the message they need to get. Number 3 thing you need to expect every single day aligns with what I just said, which is expect things to work exactly the way they need to put you where you're destined to be. In other words, trust. Trust. Trust that the things will go really well. Trust that whatever happens in your day positions you for the next day or the next week or the next major opportunity that's going to come into your life. There's a great quote from a great book called The Alchemist. Have you ever read it? If you haven't, it's a nonfiction book that's really inspiring and encouraging. I've read it or listened to it actually several times. It's an incredible book. I highly recommend it. But there's a line from that book that I absolutely love that's repeated over and over and over and over again. Again, the book is The Alchemist by Paulo Coelho. And the line is this: when you want something, all the universe conspires in helping you achieve it. When you want something, all the universe conspires in helping you achieve it. And so why am I telling you this? Because you have to understand that everything can work for your good. Even the pains, the struggles, the challenges, the disciplines of life can work for your good, can work for your destiny, can work for helping put you exactly where you're meant to be. I'm not going to get into all of it in this episode right here, right now, but what I can tell you for certain in my own life experience is that sometimes the most difficult, challenging situations or circumstances or pains of life are meant for your good, are meant to purposefully push you in the direction you are supposed to go. I've experienced that, and maybe you have too. If you're in your 20s, 30s, 50s, 70s, 90s, I don't care. You can probably, I'm guessing, look back on your life and look at painful moments, challenging experiences, the disciplines of life, the times you feel like you were in a season of struggle or a time of testing, and you can look at those experiences and you can say with confidence, that was meant for you good. That positioned you to be where you are today. That positioned you for the next promotion. That positioned you for the next opportunity. That positioned you to meet the person you were meant to meet. I know so many people that can absolutely look back on their life, if not everyone I've ever met, who can look back on their life and say, it was the pains, it was the tough times, it was the seasons of struggle that actually refined me and helped me and pushed me and moved me to where I'm meant to go, where I know I'm purposed for in this world with my life. And I think the same is going to be true for you. If you haven't experienced it that way yet, I want to encourage you that if you're in a time of testing or a season of struggle or a difficulty or discipline in life, friend, expect that this season of life, this moment, these things that are happening are going to push you purposefully in the direction that you're meant to go. And if you expect that, what that means is, even if you expect, go back to point number one, you expect the day to be amazing. You expect great things to happen for you. So even the moments when great things don't happen for you, even the days or weeks or entire seasons of life when things feel like they're not going your way and they couldn't go any worse, you can rest assured that even those seasons of struggle and challenge and discipline are preparing you for your purpose, are preparing to catapult you to where you are destined to go and to be so you could do the amazing things that you've been called and created for. And I need you to believe this. I need you to expect, to trust that even when things don't, quote unquote, go your way in a given day or situation, or you lose an opportunity, or you lose a client, or you lose a relationship, or a thing goes bad, quote unquote, bad, in a moment it might seem bad, but over the long run, I believe you can look back and realize it was meant for your good, and you can use it to get you where you truly want to be. Let's move on to point number 4, which is really important. So is number 5. But let's recap really quick because I believe we need reminded more than we need instructed. So let me remind you of where we've gone, then we'll get into point number 4 and then point number 5. For the 5 expectations that you must always have to produce better results in your life today and for the rest of your life. Point number 1, you have to have a general expectation that great things happen for you. Point number 2, expect conversations to go well or expect presentations you deliver to go well. Number 3, expect things to work out exactly the way they need to put you exactly where you're meant to be. So trust. Point number 4, here we go. Expect that people want to be good to you. Expect that people want to be good to you. You know, so many people struggle to ask for help. And so many people struggle to accept help. It's so funny. My son he's just turned 5, and he was cutting up a bunch of paper using these brand new scissors he got that have rounded edges so he could still cut without us parents being terrified of him like poking something and injuring, but they're scissors he can use. So he went off today. Like, I gave him these new scissors for the first time, and he started cutting things out. And just paper went everywhere on the floor. And for whatever reason, I don't know why, he was like trying to cut up like really teeny, tiny pieces. So like there were just like these micro pieces of paper, large chunks, scraps, everything all over the floor in the dining room where he was cutting. And he was it was time to clean up. So I was like, hey man, you need to clean all this up. I brought the recycle bin out, put it over by him. He starts putting stuff away and he's cleaning up. He's doing a great job. And then he said, Dada, can you help me? I said, son, you made the mess. You need to clean it up. And in that moment, my wife looked at me and she said, I feel like we should somehow teach him that it's good to ask for help and that it's okay to ask for help. And then my mind just went, because first of all, you probably know this. My wife is just a genius. She's full of incredible wisdom. And that was incredible wisdom because I think about myself, I have struggled in my life to, number one, ask for help, and to, number two, receive help. And a lot of high achievers that I know, they struggle with the same. A lot of people that are not high achievers struggle with the same. I think we are conditioned in life to not ask for help and to feel like we have to do things on our own. And I don't know how that happens, but I just feel like it's a thing. Like I can tell you for certain, transparently, it's been a thing for me. I've made so many decisions in my own head in my life without ever consulting anyone, without asking for help and perspective and wisdom from anyone around me, including my wife. There are times I'm just like, I'm going through all of these big decisions or small decisions in my own head without actually consulting another human. I'm not asking for help. And then if someone does offer help, I'm like, oh, what am I going to owe them? Like, I think we have this natural thing as humans to feel like I'm going to have to owe this person something. I'm a huge Office fan. I have not watched it in a long, long time, and probably at least a year. I haven't watched really anything in a long, long time, just with two little kids, a 5-year-old, a 3-year-old, and one on the way here in the coming weeks. But we haven't watched anything in a long time. But one show my wife and I used to always love watching is The Office. And I bring this up because there's a really hysterical episode where Andy and Dwight are going back and forth with this reciprocity thing. So like one helps the other. And Dwight's like, oh, let me help you with that, Andy. And Andy's like, oh, he helped me. He owes me. Because Dwight would like help someone. They'd be like, you owe me. And then Andy would help him back because he doesn't want to owe him. So he's like, oh, now he owes me. And they'll go back and forth like, here you go. And they just keep helping each other. And there's just this human nature. I think that's why it's so funny because like we have this human nature where it's like, we don't want to feel like we owe somebody something. That's why financial debt is terrible. People hate it because you owe people money. That's the worst kind of thing to owe people. Maybe not the worst kind of thing, but certainly a frustrating thing to owe people. But like any kind of help, you automatically, when someone helps you, you feel this natural human instinct like, I owe this person something. That's why reciprocity is such a powerful tool, persuasive tool in selling. Like it's one of the key components of, I think it's like the 6 influence keys or keys to influence in Robert Cialdini's very famous multi-million-dollar copy sold book, Influence, that he published in the early 80s, is reciprocity. If you give someone something, they feel obligated to give you something back. And so it's all that to say it's like really hard for people to accept help. I think one of the reasons is we then feel like, well, now I gotta figure out, I gotta use brain calories and brain power and effort and time and energy to figure out how I'm gonna pay this person back for the fact that they just helped me. I don't know if that's the true psychology of it or not. That's just like the way I think about human nature is like I think we feel this pull, this push, this pressure, if you will, to repay people that help us. So why am I telling you this? Because I think we have to, number one, welcome the help. We have to expect that people actually want to help us and they're not doing it. Here's the big point. Let me bring this full circle. People aren't trying to help you because they want you to owe them something. Some people are, but those people are twisted in their head and they're manipulative, and you don't need to repay those people anyways because if they're just doing it because they want something back from you, they don't deserve to get the thing back from you. Likewise, if you're doing something for someone just because you want something back, that's called manipulation. I don't think that's a positive thing. I think anything we do, not that you can't be excited or grateful if they do give back to you in a way, but man, give without the expectation of getting back, and it is a totally different kind of giving. Help someone without the expectation of getting anything back, and it is a totally different kind of helping. It is a way more positive, free, abundant-minded way to help. It doesn't mean great things won't come back to you, but it means you want to help without the expectation, without holding on to this feeling of like, something's got to come back to me when I give this help. And so my message to you in point number 4 is expect that people just want to be good for you. Expect that people want to help you on your journey. Expect that people want to give you resources or connections or support or whatever it is. They want to help you on your journey. I believe that we have to expect that people want to be good for us for their own good. Not because we've got to reciprocate, but because they want to help us because we know they will intrinsically get value by helping us achieve our big goals or move forward and make progress for the things we want to accomplish. I think that's a thing that's missing for so many people. It's like, If someone gives you help, it does not mean that person doesn't get value. When I help someone, I feel so good about it. I feel lifted and excited. I feel grateful that I had the opportunity to make someone's life better. And so I think we need to remember, like, for example, have you ever helped someone and thought to yourself, that was really cool that I got to help that person. I feel so fulfilled and grateful. And like there was value in that for me just in the helping of that person. Yeah, it happens all the time. And so please remember that that's the case for other people too. They might help you just because they want to help you. So expect people to want to be good to you. It'll turn around the way you interact with other people, and it will open you up to getting the help and support and resources and connections and all the other things that you need to turn your dreams into concrete reality. The fifth thing that you need to be expecting every day is expect you can always find a way to get the results you want. Always expect that you can get the results you're looking for and refuse to settle for anything different. Know that there's an opportunity to get the results you're looking for. Now, I'm going to share a story with you that you might find controversial. But I published a short on YouTube about this, and I got lots of people that liked it. I got thousands of views, which is not typical for my shorts, but I got thousands of views, and I got lots of people who thought it was really cool. I got a few people that were kind of naysayers about it, like, oh man, I can't believe you did that. So I'm going to share the story because I think it exemplifies this fifth point that I just shared with you really well. And you can judge me if you want. You can never listen to my podcast again if you want, but it is a reality that completely explains point number 5. So I was doing work one day, and we're in a new development, and right next door to us, they were digging to put another line or something or pipes or something in. So these guys were digging, and it had actually happened like 4 or 5 weeks earlier that someone else was digging for something else because, again, they're putting up all these other homes, and this guy was digging in to cut out the power. So like as soon as I saw the guys digging out my window in the middle of the workday on a Friday in the morning, I looked out my window, everything shut down, all my internet was gone. I looked out and I saw the guy digging. I was like, I know he just cut my internet line because it had just happened like 5 or 6 weeks earlier. And so I was like, oh, I do not want to deal with this. So I immediately went down. I had to talk to the guy. I didn't want to wait. I didn't want to hesitate. I just want to get it addressed. I was like, hey, dude. I don't know if I said, hey, dude. But I was like, hey, I think you cut my line. He's like, he's literally in this hole, like digging. It's like, I think you cut my internet line because it went out as soon as you started digging in here. And he's like, oh, no, man, I don't think I did. And he's looking around. He's like, no, I don't think I did. I was like, dude, I'm pretty sure you did. And he starts looking around for a few more seconds. And he's like, oh, beep. Like, he actually cussed. He didn't say beep. That's just me, since I don't cuss on the show. But he's like, oh, shucks. And so he got his boss over immediately, who was also at the site with him. And they started getting their boss involved. And the thing is, they didn't actually check for the wires like they should have because they thought they were in the clear. So he's like, yeah, I asked my boss. And he's like, you don't need to check. You should be good. So normally they would check. Here's the kicker. Because they didn't check, they actually didn't get some certain kind of support from the internet company that they have this whatever agreement with. So I had to call and do it myself. Normally, if they had dug and followed the process, they could have handled it. But because they didn't, I had to do it myself. So I called the internet company like, hey, man, we can't get anyone out there. This is Friday, remember. By the time I'm talking to them, it's like late morning, maybe early afternoon. And they're like, yeah, well, we can't get you anyone until Wednesday of next week. I was like, dude, I have to have internet for my job. And my job pays the bills. And my bills put food on the table for my family, keep the lights on, keep the home in place, all these things. Like, I got to have internet. And I'm talking to this nice guy, and he's like, well, yeah, I'm sorry, we can't, but what good time is good on Wednesday? I was like, no, you don't understand. And I had already decided in my mind, I was like, I will not take no for an answer. Because I just listened to somebody or something talk about, like, you've got to refuse to get no. That's how you get your answer. So I was like, dude, I'm going to experiment and see how this works. And he just kept telling me, no. He's like, well, okay, let me talk to somebody, a supervisor, I'll get back to you. And he calls me back a handful of minutes later. He's like, Mr. Peller, I talked to my supervisor, and the best we can do is Tuesday afternoon next week. Is Tuesday afternoon work? I was like, no, I need internet today. And I did my best to be very respectful. I believe I was respectful even as I look back on it, but I said it very directly, very confidently, but I said it respectfully and in a nice, kind tone. And I actually took the approach of Chris Voss, who I love his book, Never Split the Difference. It's the best book on communication I've ever read, or one of them, certainly. And he asks calibrated questions, which is asking someone like, oh, how are we supposed to do this? And I basically was like, how am I supposed to work? I don't have internet. How am I supposed to do that? He's like, I don't know. We can get someone out Tuesday or Wednesday. Which would you prefer? I was like, here's the thing. Like, that doesn't work. I got to have it today. I literally just kept saying things like that. I was like, it doesn't work, man. Can you help? Who can help me? Who can I talk to that can help me? Who can you talk to that can help us get this done? Like, I just kept asking questions like, who can help us? How can we get this done? I need the internet. And eventually got off the phone and calls another supervisor, gets back to me. And literally this, like, we kept going back and forth, and I kept saying things like, how are we supposed to get this done? How can we make it happen? Please help me here. Like, I need to get this. I need to have internet. And he finally gets back to me, says, well, Mr. Peller, you're certainly a go-getter, and your persistence paid off. I forget what all he said, but he definitely said, Mr. Peller, you are a go-getter. I can have someone out there tonight by a little after 5 once they finish their rounds. This is probably why I got heat or flack on my social media posts about it, because some people are like, oh, I used to do those rounds and it's a long day, and then to do an extra job after. I was like, dude, I totally understand. And when these guys came out and got the job done for me that Friday, like 5:30, I was so grateful. I was like, thank you guys so much. Thank you for making it out. I overwhelmed them with gratitude and appreciation, which hopefully went a long way. I appreciated the help, and I didn't do it for kicks and giggles. I wasn't trying to force them to get there on Friday just because I wanted to prove that the refuse to accept no worked. I literally need internet to run life. Like, you know what I mean? Like, you have to have internet. Even if it wasn't a work day and it was a weekend, like, you got to have internet to do things, to have my security system in our home. Like, we've got to have internet. And so I was really grateful that they did that for me. But the reason I bring this up in point number 5 is there was a way to get the result. And I just knew that there was a way to get the result. And as long as you expect there's a way to get the result or results you want in any area or every area of life, you can make it happen. You can. And so, friend, I want to encourage you with these 5 things. Let me remind you so that they sink in. Get pen and paper. If you haven't yet, write these down or go back, listen again, write them down. Number 1, you've got to have a general expectation that great things happen for you. Number 2, expect conversations to go well. Number 3, expect things to work exactly the way they need you to put you exactly where you're meant to be. Number 4, expect that people want to be good to you. Expect people want to be good to you. Expect people want to help you. And number 5, expect you can always find a way to get the results you want. Friend, whatever you're going after this year, you can make it happen. You have to expect that great things are happening for you. I believe that this year, 2025, or whatever year we're in as you're listening to this, can be your year that things turn around, that you have breakthrough, that great things happen, that you break through to your next level, that you get the relationship or the health or the strength or the opportunity that you are looking for, but you got to believe it and you've got to persist. Because the other key thing to understand about all of this is that if you truly expect great things to happen, then you will show up and do the work every day as if something great is meant to happen for you. People that fully expect great things to happen for them, they do the work because they know it requires work to make great things happen. They don't just sit on their couch, eat Cheetos, and hope and pray while watching Netflix as something great's going to happen. They show up and they do the work. And if you expect something great to happen for you this year, if you expect a lot of great things to happen for you this year, every day of your life, do the work. Show up with a great attitude. Show up with the right energy. Expect great things to happen. You will see breakthrough. I don't know if it's today or next week or next month or next year, by the end of this year, but great things will happen. But you got to keep showing up. And friend, if you're going through that season of struggle right now, you're going through a time of testing, trials, tribulations, things that seem like the disciplines of life, let me remind you, let me encourage you. Great things come from going through the tests, the challenges of life. We are only tested insofar as it helps us to refine us, to strengthen us, to better us, to put us where we are meant to be. So friend, whatever you're going after, refuse to quit. Refuse to settle for anything less than your greatest potential. Just keep freaking going, and great things can happen for you. And if you love this episode, please hit that subscribe. Please rate, review. Let me know what you thought. If you're watching on YouTube or listening on Spotify, you can comment. I'd love to hear from you. By the way, I'd love to hear from you directly. Let me know what questions you have on this topic or other things you'd love to see me answer in future messages, podcast episodes, because I'd love to directly answer your questions. I don't want this to just be me talking at you. I want to hear from you. What are your thoughts? What are your concerns? What are your questions? And I'd love to be able to respond to you in the comments and engage with you and hear what's working, what's not working. Please also follow me on Instagram. Connect with me over there. Send me a DM. Let me know what you're working through. Let me know what you're working on. Let me know what questions you have that I can answer for you. And I do share daily content, typically most days over there in Instagram stories, at least at this point, and I expect to continue to do so. So I hope this message has really served you. And if you found tremendous value in it, please help me reach even more people with this message and the others that I'll be publishing this year. Again, 2025, I'm excited to be really focused on growing this podcast. And by growing this podcast, what I mean is by reaching more amazing people just like you, who are driven and excited to be their best, who are maybe going through a season of struggle or a trial or tribulation in life or the disciplines of life. And you're just like, man, I want to do something great with my life, but I got to stay encouraged. I got to stay fired up, and I got to have the mindset and the skill set to be equipped to do the things that I know I need to do to get me where I'm destined to go. So friend, if that sounds like it's for you, please keep coming back. Subscribe so you never miss an episode. Share it with a friend. Take a screenshot. Share it on social. I don't care. Do whatever you have to, but let's get more people introduced to this podcast this year so we can improve even more lives and help people catalyze positive change in their lives and help even more people to be their very best and to make 2025 and beyond the best they've ever experienced yet. So friend, whatever you're going after, refuse to quit. Just keep going. Look forward to talking with you next time. See ya.